surprisingly easy. So for our version of crepes, unlike normal crepe recipes that you find on the internet, we don't deal with butter, partially because Matt can't have real butter, and partially because melting butter is annoying and takes more time than I want, and that's only really 10 seconds. So we've modified this over the years to make it simpler. Now, the recipe for crepes is super easy. For each egg that you put in this, you will be doing a 1/4 cup of milk or soy milk and a 1/2 cup of flour. And that's it. Literally 3 things. So it's in fact very simple. You can expand it as needed. We usually do a 3-egg batch of crepes, so I've got my 3/4 cup here. Oh, and water, sorry. Eggs, milk, water, and flour. So, 3 eggs in a bowl with no shells. Whisk. Matt generally just throws everything in the bowl, and it turns out fine, but I like them slightly less lumpy, so I prefer to whisk my eggs first, and then start adding everything else. This is a new thing of soy milk, so I have to shake it up really, really good and open it. All milk alternatives, really, when you use them, you have to shake them up every single time, but that's okay. So, 3/4 cup of soy milk. 3/4 cup of water. Mix with a whisk. A whisk makes this so much better. And then, flour. Since we have 3 eggs, I need to do 3 1/2 cups. And the 1/2 cup measure is what I keep in here, so that's easy. Now, our crepes, because we don't use butter, do turn out a different texture than other crepes. They don't have, the buttery residue, and they tend to be slightly thicker, because they don't spread out quite as well. But the secret that we have found to making crepes our way act more like crepes the real way is liquor, which I will add shortly. Because it's soy milk and it doesn't have butter and whatnot in it, it's more of a sticky batter. I mean, it's not sticky at all, but it's more of that than it would be. So, batter. No lumps, or very little of them anyway. But what makes it behave better in the pan when you want to actually make it into crepes is a little bit of liquor. Because it thins itself out and makes it move around easier when you actually want to spread them in the pan. And the liquor cooks out, obviously, when you cook them. And so which liquor you add kind of depends on the slight flavor that you want to get your crepes to come out as. So I just added American honey. The other day we added spiced rum. We really like Kraken in crepes. Kraken rum in crepes is really good. But you can also do things like pomegranate apple liqueur, and I suppose you could do limoncello crepes, although we haven't tried that. I think that would be a little much. Okay, batter. Crepes are easy. And if you can see, it's slightly thinner now, which is what the liquor is for. And then, we made a stand last week. Cooking crepes are also easy. We use Pam because it's quick, but you can also just, put some butter in there and melt it, because you don't want them to stick. But crepes are basically, you pour a little in, And you roll it around until it spreads itself out nice and thin, and then you cook it on one side, and you flip it, and you cook it on another. So it's super simple. The nice thing about crepes is that it's, I mean, without all the butter, they're actually fairly good for you as far as I know. They fill me up really nicely, so generally with a 3-egg batch, we cut it in half, and it feeds both of us real nice. Or rather, it feeds Matt real nice, and then I get 2 meals out of it. 2 small meals, because crepes fill me up super fast. This is the part of crepes that makes it crepes. Just roll it around. And I don't think you'll be able to see the color change from up there. But you can definitely tell the color change as it cooks, because it gets yellower as it moves in. I don't have a particular point at which I flip them. It's not like pancakes, where as soon as you get giant bubbles and it's ready to flip. With crepes, it's really up to you. But you can basically watch the cookedness and see how floppy that was. That was nice. Oh yes, I'll need a plate. So, the suggested eating methodology for crepes is make crepes, put whatever sounds good in them, and then roll them up or fold them up. So you can do them with fruit. Fruit's really good in them. Bananas and chocolate sauce, or strawberries and whipped cream, or whatever fruit really you want to put in. I've got some gin and tonic jam in the fridge right now that's actually really good. You spread it on a crepe, and then you roll it up, and it's this nice little jelly roll type thing. Basically, you want to cook your crepes for as long as you want to cook your crepes. You can cook them slightly longer, and then they'll have the tiny little brown spots, or slightly less, and they'll be more yellow or white, but crepe, flop. But you can also make savory crepes. I actually, ooh, that's too hot. Great, Petco pan, shouldn't be on high, sorry. I like to put Spam and cheese and lettuce in them. Mine, when I'm done with this batch, I'm going to put a little bit of meat left over from yesterday's T-bone. I'm going to slice it real thin and spread it out, and then put some scrambled egg on it. And then if I was longer away from seeing that, then I would put cheese on it. But he's going to be home shortly, and I don't want to poison him, so I won't. But yeah, steak and cheese, really anything. Okay. Go. And see that one, I don't know if you will have noticed. No, you can't really tell the color difference. But that one's got the pattern of the way that I cooked in it, and it's more mottled because it cooked faster than that one did. They do tend to roll up on the edges for you, but that's, we'll just pat it back down. And if you want really thin crepes, you put less batter in. If you want thicker crepes, you put more batter in. It doesn't really change the taste or anything, just the consistency. Because when they're really thin, they're, actually don't really know how to describe the difference in consistency. But there was fun. No. I think I may have burned off all the pan, and I will have to put some more on momentarily. That's what you get for having the pan too hot. Yeah, we make these all the time because they're super simple. I don't really have anything to talk about. I'm just gonna make crepes. Apart from this being completely lost my train of thought. That's okay. So this one is a super short one, especially because since I don't really have any further advice, I'm probably gonna cut it off so you don't have to watch me make the rest of the crepes. It doesn't take that long. It's, as you've seen, really like 30 seconds a crepe, a minute a crepe maybe. But yeah, we pile them up on a plate and then generally cut them in half and each take a side. Or if I want to actually wrap stuff in them, then we'll just, pile them on a plate and then take half the stack off when we flip them. But they're pretty good. They wrap fairly easy, they fold fairly easy. They also keep pretty well. Since I only eat half of mine at a time, I generally put my other half in a bag or a Tupperware in the fridge, and they stay good for quite a while. They dry out slightly as they sit in the fridge, but not enough that it's a problem. They just don't flop quite as well when you take them out, but they're still delicious. And as I said, whichever liquor you pick will dictate what slight flavor you get in your crepes. Some of them don't really impart a lot of flavor, some of them do. And, if you use really spiced rum or really fruity liquor, then it'll actually taste more like that. You can put more or less in, although too much and it gets super thin and they don't really work very well. So you really only want a glug. Oh, that one's going to be thick. Ow. Okay, that's becoming a little too hot. For me anyway, I do not have good heat tolerance. Suppose I can keep going until the end. I've only got like 2 more crepes left. That way it'll be a complete show. Yeah, they develop teeny weeny new bubbles that pop. The color just kind of moves in. They're actually kind of hard to do wrong. I mean, you can burn anything if you want to. And with these, the little thin edges around the edge will burn faster than the thicker center. That's why the fancy crepe places have those big round things, and they pour the batter in the middle, and they use the little wooden thing to just go and spread it out all even like. But they work perfectly well in a frying pan. You don't really need anything fancy. And of course, when you want to do this the real way instead of our way, you would just add. Oh, it's been years since I've done this, so I don't remember exactly how much, but I want to say like a tablespoon of butter to the batter of melted butter. It does have to be melted though, and you have to whisk really fast when you pour it in because it'll especially if your milk and eggs are cold still, it'll kind of like curdle is the wrong word, but I can't think of the right word. But you know what I mean. If you've ever added butter to anything cold, you know what it does. And they turn out really well. They've just got this like sheen of butter on them when you do them that way. I just don't like the hassle, so we don't do that. And luckily they work perfectly fine with soy milk. You know, alternative milks, they work perfectly fine with normal milk. I don't actually know how they behave when I cook them with normal milk. I want to say not at all differently because when I was in Italy, I'm pretty sure I cooked them with real milk, but I don't actually remember it being any different. So it worked fine. But again, that was back when I was still doing them with butter, so it may have been butter. But yes, let's see, to repeat, for every egg, you want a 1/4 cup of milk, a 1/4 cup of water, and 1/2 cup of flour. So, easy to remember, easy to scale, and delicious. They're also really good with just, you know, powdered sugar on them. Make a nice little powdered sugar bowl. And they do get less floppy and more stiff, I suppose is the word, the longer you cook them. So if you like them less cooked. I do wish you could see the color gradations on this thing. Well, you sort of can. Mainly the easiest way that you can screw these up is by not putting pan or butter in the frying pan when you do this, because they will stick. Not as badly as things like pancakes and chicken or whatever, but they will stick. They also, I'll tell you this now, it's so you're not creeped out when it actually happens. If you press on your crepes while you cook them, they do kind of squeal sometimes, which I find hilarious, but might creep you out if you aren't expecting it. This is the last one, so I'm just going to make it thick and do the rest of the batter. Honestly, I'm actually not going to spread that out, because that way you can see the nice, the way it like doesn't spread itself out. That's a good consistency of batter. It's got this nice clean edge. It'll be super fun when it's done. It'll take longer to cook this way, but that's okay. Oh yes, and I have my oven on medium because this is a Cutco pan and should not go above medium because it's a good stainless pan. Get bigger bubbles when it's that thick. More than pancakes. This one's definitely going to be more the consistency of pancake, which is fine. But yeah, this padding is just me pressing the edges back down since the edges tend to curl up when when you flip it over. You don't have to press on them or anything. I just like to get my edges back down. See, that one's got a nice white hard crust and a little bit of brown circle. And not quite done yet, but so this is my plate of crepes. Woo, floppy. Crepes are fun. And they roll up, down, and they roll up fairly well once you put stuff in and you just go roll them up, or fold them in half, kind of like a taco, although it's a very floppy taco. Or honestly, just put one on a plate and then put your stuff in it, and then put another one on top, and then just. Although that works less well if you actually want to pick it up in one piece. Doesn't pick up, that's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that 3-egg batch made 8 crepes. You could bake more or less depending on how thick I poured them, and it works out quite well. Oop, nope. Ouch. There. That's crepes. Good luck.